In this section, we're going to see smart contracts. What are smart contracts? Smart contracts are nothing but business agreements or business logic that is encapsulated in the form of code. The smart contracts versus chain code. Some people uses interchangeably, but that is not true. So smart contracts are meant to contain the logic that gets executed and interacts with the ledger in order to manage and maintain the state of the asset. On the other hand, chain code governs the administrative aspect of smart contracts. That is how smart contracts are packaged in a chain code and then deployed on the network. So this is the difference between smart contract and chain code. So how the smart contracts work? So when a transaction request comes in, the contract the deployed when you deploy the chain code, you will get the contract ID. So when the transaction request comes in with the contract ID, the transaction dependency, it will look for any dependencies that are there for this transaction, and the peer also checks for the current state or the current ledger state that is present. Next, as part of this process, the smart contract interprets the process or the request. As part of interpreting the transaction, it looks for the current state of the ledger, and it also looks for the deployed business logic in terms of the smart contract. So after looking into the current state and also the business logic, the output will be whether it is accepting the transaction request or not, or the correctness or attestation based on the different policies that you have defined. And it also gives the state delta. Delta is the difference between the current ledger state and the modification that has occurred because of the transaction that we have executed, and other ordering information. So these are the processes that goes through when the transaction request occurs on a peer. So this is how the smart contract works. So when you invoke a transaction on a peer. So the practicality of this, how you need to invoke it and what all the other processes involved, so that you will see it in the practical section. So stay tuned. So that is it about smart contracts. In the next section, you are going to look into what are fabric policies. So stay tuned.